I've been thinking about our last deep dive into Ashkin's Gray Heritage channel. Specifically, his whole take on the Qajar dynasty. It was really fascinating how he just kind of turns the typical story on its head.
No, absolutely. I think using that measuring stick of,
Yeah.
the state of Iran at the beginning and the end of Qajar rule, that was pretty brilliant. It really gets you reevaluating.
And this time, we're going even deeper, right, into how Ashkin actually approaches interpreting these historical narratives, especially those super tricky traveler accounts.
Oh, yeah.
There's some really intriguing ideas coming up, including this thing he calls it, fictional documentaries.
Oh, those are always fun.
Yeah.
A little ethically questionable, but definitely fascinating.
Okay, so to kick things off, Ashkin dives right into European travelers' accounts of Isfahan during the Safavid dynasty. So this is pre-Qajar. Right. We're talking big names here. Chardin, Delavet, Tavernier, all painting this picture of Isfahan as like this super advanced, thriving city.
Right. Their descriptions are incredibly vivid. It's like almost seductive how they portray this amazing civilization.
Right.
But Ashkin cautions us, right, about taking it all,
at face value.
At face value, yeah, exactly. Because every perspective is subjective, right?
He makes that point with this really clever analogy about height.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine travelers from different regions, right? And they have different average heights.
Yeah.
All visiting the same place. They're going to describe the people's stature totally differently.
Oh, for sure.
Just because their own reference point is different.
It's brilliant. It really shows how much our background shapes how we see things, even when we're all looking at the same thing, and it goes beyond just physical stuff too. Even think about words, how the meanings of words change over time.
Oh yeah, totally.
Like hygiene, right? Yeah. What was considered clean 400 years ago is probably horrifying to us now.
Totally. Yeah. So are we applying our own modern standards?
That's the question, isn't it?
Of prosperity and development to these glowing accounts of Isfahan.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you wonder if we're holding the Qajars who came later to this standard that didn't even exist back then.
A standard that wasn't even a thing back in their time. That's where Ashkin's call for critical thinking is so important. You can't just accept these historical narratives as the absolute truth.
Right.
You have to question, compare, try to understand the
context.
The context, exactly.
So it's less about finding a single truth and more about
recognizing the multiplicity of interpretations, right?
Especially when you consider that history can be straight up manipulated, right?
Well, for sure.
For political purposes. Yeah. Ashkin uses this super fascinating example of fictional documentaries about a secret Nazi weapon.
Yeah.
So there's this rumor going around about a crazy powerful Nazi weapon hidden away in a bunker somewhere.
Yeah.
And then boom.
Two documentaries
come out about it.
Wow.
And the first one, is just pure drama.
Right.
Hidden bunkers, secret documents, shadowy figures.
Oh, wow.
They even give this weapon this hilarious name, Operation Alter Furs.
Wait, Operation Alter Furs?
You're going to laugh.
What does that even mean?
It translates to Operation Old Fart in German.
That's incredible.
I know, right?
Oh, my God.
You can't make this stuff up.
No, you really can't.
But it also, highlights this whole thing of how fact and fiction can get all blurred together. Yeah. Especially for people who don't know the actual history.
Yeah, absolutely. And this first documentary you're saying, it really plays up the suspense.
Oh, yeah. And it's so believable. Even though it's completely made up.
Wow. So you've got this one that's completely fabricated.
Yeah.
And then you have the second one that
totally debunks the myth.
Oh, wow.
Completely.
So it's almost like a meta commentary on truth itself is a really good story.
Yeah.
More persuasive.
Very persuasive than
the facts.
Exactly. Yeah. And this ties back to Ashkin's point about the Qajars so well.
Okay.
Because he argues that the historical narrative that surrounds them often reflects the agendas of those who came after them.
Oh, interesting.
Not necessarily the reality of their rule.
So it makes you wonder, if these fake documentaries can manipulate how people see a specific event, how much more susceptible is a whole dynasty's reputation to that kind of manipulation.
And Ashkin points out, like, both the Pilates, who came after the Qajars, and the Islamic Republic had reasons to, like, really paint the Qajars negatively.
Well, yeah, it's about legitimizing their own rule, right?
Right.
Like, by making your predecessors look bad, you automatically...
Make yourself look better.
Strengthen your own claim to power. It's classic.
But we don't always think about it.
But we often miss it when we're studying history,
Okay, this is all, like, pretty mind-blowing. But if history is so easily manipulated, can we ever really know what happened? Like, where do we even begin?
The million-dollar question.
To get a clearer picture of, like, the Qajars, for example.
Well, Ashkin encourages us to look at history as a process of constant, like, questioning, reevaluation. You've got to go beyond that dominant narrative, dig for different perspectives, consider the motivations of whoever is shaping that historical record.
So instead of seeking, like, the definitive truth, we should be embracing the messiness and the complexity of it all.
Exactly, because there's always multiple sides to every story, and what we understand about the past is always changing. It's about, like, engaging with history actively, not passively.
Not just taking it as it's presented.
And that's where it gets really exciting.
I'm excited to dig into some of those alternative perspectives. Explore how we can, like, challenge those dominant narratives.
Challenge those assumptions.
But before we do, I think we need to break down exactly how Ashkin suggests we approach this. Like,
for sure.
Historical detective work.
Absolutely. Let's unpack his advice. And see how we can apply it not just to the Qajars, but to understanding history in general. So to avoid falling into those, those historical traps, Ashkin gives us some pretty solid advice. He really emphasizes looking for corroborating evidence, Don't rely on just a single source, especially if it has a potential bias.
It's like fact-checking, but for history.
For history. So if you find some claim about the Qajars in one source, go look for other sources that either back it up or refute it. It's about building that case based on, like, a variety of evidence, not just accepting the first interpretation you come across.
So instead of just, like, taking those European traveler accounts as gospel truth, we should be comparing them to accounts from other places, maybe even from
within Iran.
Iran itself.
Absolutely. And that leads to his next point, which is compare different versions of the same event. Try to find accounts from people with, like, different perspectives, different social classes, different cultures, even opposing political factions.
So it's like getting a 360-degree view.
Exactly, a 360-degree view of what was going on.
Of the situation.
Because that can reveal, like, nuances, contradictions that you might have missed otherwise.
Totally.
And that's especially useful when we're looking at the Qajars. Imagine, like, comparing those European accounts of Isfahan with accounts from, say, Persian merchants or diplomats from, like, the Ottoman Empire.
That would be fascinating to see.
The differences could be really revealing.
It's like looking at a piece of art.
Yes.
You can't just look at it from one angle. You got to, like...
You got to walk around it.
Walk around it.
See it in different lights. To fully appreciate, the intricacies.
Totally.
And speaking of looking at things from different angles, Ashkin also emphasizes, like, primary sources, stuff from the actual time period.
So not just
interpretations written later.
So not like a history textbook that's not a summary. We should be looking at diaries, letters, government
documents, court records, even art and literature.
From that period.
Created during that time, because that offers, like, a direct window into the past.
Hearing their voices firsthand. Like, you can almost...
It helps us move beyond, like, generalizations.
The texture of their lives.
And connect with the human side of history. And, those firsthand accounts, they can really challenge
for sure.
our assumptions about the Qajars. Maybe those European travelers weren't entirely wrong. But their interpretations might have been colored by their own cultural biases.
Totally.
And primary sources from, like, Qajar Iran itself could provide...
a counterpoint.
Like a counter-narrative.
It's starting to click now. By, like, comparing these diverse sources and considering that broader context, we can start to see a more
nuanced, multifaceted
picture of the Qajars.
Yeah. And that's where Ashkin's final point comes in.
Okay.
Think about the broader historical context.
Right. So not just
isolated events or rulers.
Yeah.
But zoom out, look at the big picture.
What was going on?
Yeah. What were the political, social, economic forces at play during that time?
Were there internal conflicts? Were they
internal conflicts,
dealing with
external pressures
from bigger empires?
Yeah.
Were there economic shifts happening? Because, by understanding that broader context,
right,
you can better assess
their actions, their decisions.
Actions and decisions, yeah.
Maybe they were making, decisions that we think now are kind of baffling.
Yeah.
But in the context...
But maybe in the context of what was going on...
Of the time...
Made perfect sense, yeah.
It's like trying to understand a character in a novel.
Oh, I love that analogy.
You can't just look at their dialogue and their actions in isolation. You got to know their backstory.
You got to know,
their motivations, the challenges they're facing.
Yeah.
To really understand,
their complexity.
The complexity of that character, yeah.
That's what makes...
And that's what makes studying history so fascinating.
Yeah.
It's not just memorizing dates and facts. It's about empathy. It's about trying to,
putting yourself...
Understand people... From different times, different cultures, recognizing the complexity of their motivations, their decisions.
It's like a giant jigsaw puzzle.
I love it.
And we're putting the pieces together.
Yes.
And each piece represents a different source.
Yeah, a different perspective, a different piece of evidence.
Yeah, and the more pieces we get, the clearer that picture of the Qajars becomes.
And what's so exciting is that puzzle is never really finished.
Right.
There's always
more...
More pieces to discover, more perspectives.
More layers.
More layers to uncover.
Okay, so we've talked about this, Ashkin's approach to history. But I'm curious to see... how do we actually...
Put it into practice?
Put these ideas into practice. What are some specific...
Tangible things.
Things we can look at or read or, learn about to challenge that?
To challenge that narrative.
Yeah, that dominant narrative of incompetence.
That's a great question. Let's dive into some tangible avenues that we could explore. And remember, this is just,
Yeah.
the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
There's a whole world of historical research out there.
Lead the way.
All right, let's see where this treasure map takes us.
Okay, so we're ready to dig for those alternative Qajar narratives, right?
Yeah.
Where do we even start?
Well, like we were talking about, Ashkin points us towards primary sources, those firsthand accounts from the Qajar period itself.
Diaries, letters, you said?
Yeah, diaries, letters, official documents, any kind of court records they kept, even art and literature from that time.
It's like we can almost hear their voices.
Yeah.
Instead of just, reading someone else's interpretation.
It's unfiltered.
Yeah.
So we can get a glimpse of, how the Qajar rulers actually saw themselves.
What they felt they accomplished.
Yeah, what they were proud of, what they struggled with.
Imagine reading a letter from a Shah, right?
Oh, that would be fascinating, wouldn't it?
Talking about, his frustrations with dealing with European powers.
Or, outlining his vision for modernizing Iran.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
To really understand their perspective.
Yeah, their goals, in their own words.
Exactly.
What other avenues could we explore?
Well, what about accounts from, non-European sources?
Oh, right.
Travelers, diplomats, scholars, anyone who wasn't European who interacted with the Qajar court.
Yeah, okay.
Because their perspectives could really challenge those Eurocentric narratives that,
that we always hear.
We tend to get. It's like
looking at something that you think is familiar.
Yeah, from a totally new angle.
And you see all these details.
You never noticed before.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Right. Imagine reading a Persian merchant's account.
Oh,
of trade routes, bustling trade routes.
Yeah.
Or a Chinese diplomat's observation about Qajar court life.
Yeah, that'd be so cool.
Right. Because those could offer a totally different viewpoint.
Than the European.
Yeah, than those European perspectives, which are often pretty critical.
So it's almost like, piecing together this...
It is. It's like...
puzzle, right?
A historical puzzle.
Using all these different pieces, but with history.
But like you said, there's always missing pieces.
Yeah.
It's part of what makes it so interesting, though, isn't it?
Oh, for sure.
Even if you never find the complete truth.
Yeah.
That journey of discovery That's what's rewarding.
It's about challenging those assumptions, questioning those narratives.
And embracing the complexity.
Yeah, because history is not just facts and dates.
It's so much more than that.
Yeah, it's like this tapestry woven from all these individual stories.
Yeah, stories, motivations, perspectives.
And really understanding, like, the human experience.
Human experience across time.
Yeah, across time. And maybe even, like...
And, finding those connections.
Connections to your own life.
To our own lives,
in the process.
Yeah.
Because in a world that feels so divided...
Yeah.
And often... chaotic.
So much is changing.
That connection to the past can really help you feel...
grounded.
Give you perspective.
Okay, well, wrapping up this deep dive,
yeah,
I'm feeling really excited about.
Yeah, there's so much more.
Possibilities.
To uncover.
Yeah, there's so much more to uncover about the Qajars and...
about history in general.
Yeah, history in general.
The key takeaway here, I think, is that history isn't like this static, fixed thing.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing conversation, a dynamic process of interpreting, reinterpreting.
And we can all be a part of that. Yeah, exactly. By questioning, exploring, staying open to new perspectives.
So until our next deep dive.
Yeah.
Keep questioning.
Keep digging. And never stop exploring.
The fascinating world of history.
Yeah.
You never know what you might find.
See you on our next deep dive.
Yeah.